What's up, hackers? Welcome to Saturday Hacker Day. My name is Taggart, and today we're going to start, as always, with This Week in Cyber, and then we have some WTF bin hunting to do. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, that's okay. I'll explain what that means in just a second. But first, let's talk about a couple of things in the news. We will not, by the way, be touching on the war, because honestly, I'm getting enough of it from everywhere else, and you probably are too. And so, um, we'll touch on it briefly, but we're not going to go into depth as to the cyber aspect of what's going on in Ukraine right now, just because I don't know about you, but I'm getting saturated by it. And the truth is that making yourself miserable with information doesn't actually improve anything, right? It doesn't make the situation better that you know so much that you're dumb, you're bummed out all the time. Not actually how that works. So we're going to focus on the things that we can control. For example, my good friend Conti had even more data leaked from their internal organization this week. Very exciting to see this happen. So in addition to chat logs, which we had the week prior, now we have source code of Conti and also TrickBot that has been leaked, some of which was written in Erlang, which, okay. Definitely go check this out. There are a lot of places to go get your information here, but the one that I've been using primarily for the chat logs and the manuals has been this English translation of the leaks from the Parmac. Definitely go check that out. I know that Husky has a fork of it as well. And I think we linked some of those last week, if memory serves. But there's more information in these repos if you haven't checked them out since then. So definitely go do that. The amount of information in here is astounding. It really, really is. And reading through them, first of all, you understand, how sophisticated they really are, except for not being able to quit Vim. But they are truly sophisticated, but also their documentation is excellent. And if you are an offensive operator, you should read it because there are a lot of great techniques in there. And by the way, if you're a blue teamer, you don't have a choice. You have to read this because this is the most incredibly detailed set of threat intelligence that I've ever seen, and really understanding tactics, techniques, and procedures. Husky is correct. They do rely heavily on not just beacon shell, but zooming out cobalt strike. So as has been the case for a while, tuning your detections to look for cobalt strike ain't such a bad idea. That can be difficult depending on how customized the Cobalt Strike beacon and server are, but nevertheless, there are some tells that you might want to look for, and certainly shell commands would be one of them. The other resource, I believe VX Underground now has the source code hosted as well for Conti itself, like the actual Conti ransomware. And that's slightly newer. So you might want to go check out VX Underground for that if you're interested in going through the source line by line. Just one other news story that I wanted to touch on today, which was the NVIDIA breach. Now, this has been ongoing for a little bit, but just to catch you up, what are we talking about here? So, I think 2 weeks ago, there was a breach of NVIDIA that was claimed by the Lapsus group. And I see, it's February 23rd was when the breach was announced. And essentially, internal information, proprietary, trade secrets, proprietary software has been leaked by the Lapsus group. It doesn't appear as though NVIDIA has been attacked with ransomware. It was just a data breach. Here's the thing. The group is claiming that NVIDIA hacked back. We don't have any evidence for that, but that is the claim. And that's actually why I wanted to talk about NVIDIA, other than the fact that it's a massive breach, and kind of interesting to see a major organization like that have to deal with not ransomware, but an actual, intellectual property theft is really what we're talking about here. But I want to talk a little bit about hacking back and, more broadly speaking, hacking vigilantism. So we're moving from reporting to a little bit of editorializing here, especially in the light of Ukraine asking for recruits to its cyber army, and people, I think, generally feeling like they want to do something. And what does that mean, and what does that manifest like if you have some of the skills that viewers of this stream might have, like the ability to go attack systems that do not belong to the United States? I think there's some legal gray area as to whether, for example, a United States citizen, if they were to attack a foreign digital asset, would that be a violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act? I think there is some legal gray area there, but don't use that as a justification to take it upon yourself to go attack systems that belong to a foreign nation state, even one that is an aggressor in a war. And here's why. It's for the same reason why if the Canadian Navy decided to do training drills off the coast of Washington State, or off of Seattle, and all of a sudden somebody in a speedboat decided to start ramming the ships, that would not be such a good idea, because you have individuals who are then making decisions about how to relate to foreign governments, and there's no telling what happens next after that. I understand feeling powerless, and I understand feeling angry and wanting to do something and wanting to hurt people, honestly. I think that it comes from something like somebody's doing something horrible, they're hurting others, and you want them to stop, and you want to hurt them so that they'll stop. That's not necessarily the most healthy feeling in the world, but it is something that is totally understandable, maybe even natural, but it's certainly ingrained. Here's the thing, though. There's no good outcome from that. And so instead, what I'd like you to do is if you're feeling something like that, if you feel like you want to do something and you want to go put a hurting on people who are doing terrible things, donate to causes that are helping the people who are suffering. That is what you can do with that energy. You got tech skills? Great. Go use it to make the money that you can use to donate. Honestly, that is how you can do the most net good for people in Ukraine right now. So rather than taking it upon yourself to start attacking foreign infrastructure, try helping the people who need your help. All right. With that, we are going to hunt some WTF bins today. What are WTF bins? Glad you asked. Let's get over into our lab environment and we can start the hunt. Okay. So, what are WTF bins? WTF bins are a new invention well, they're not new, but the name is new, and they come from a conversation I was having with friend of the stream and the Taggart Institute, Gingerroot. We were talking about random stuff that comes up in our alerts that is totally benign, but if you didn't know any better, it would look like it was evil. And as a new analyst, or even really a seasoned analyst, but it's a new application to you, if you don't know ahead of time that this thing is benign, you're going to waste a ton of time chasing this thing down to see why it's doing what it's doing. And so we have lol bins, right, living off the land, binaries and services. For Windows, binary scripts and libraries. These are tools that exist on Windows, for example, that an attacker can use to persist, escalate their privileges, and just basically further compromise a system. And we also have the Linux equivalent called GTFO bins. But what we don't have is anything for the blue team, or that is, we didn't until this week. And so, diving back into my web development roots, I popped open VS Code and put together a few lines of view, and we have WTF bins now. So, for example, what we're looking at here, this is one of my favorites, CCM. So, the configuration manager that you use in an enterprise to manage Windows. It can accept arbitrary scripts, And when you give it arbitrary scripts to run, they will run as base64 encoded commands to PowerShell. So we know that base64 encoded commands are a technique. It's mapped to MITRE ATT&CK. So your tools very well may alert on this, but it's totally benign. So you got to tune that out. You literally have to tune it out. You have to ignore this in your alerts. The Soggy Coder, thank you so much for the follow, and you're very welcome. I'm doing well. Hope you are too. Deo Valente, thank you so much for the follow a little bit ago. So the way this works, right, is we have these set up here. You can search by term, right? So if I search for Skype, this will update the card availability in real time. Nice and easy. I did say custom scripts are run as B64, yes. We have tags as well. So, for example, if I use the tag Palo Alto, add that, then it'll filter down to just items with that tag. Remove it, we're good. It's not particularly complicated, but it works. And the idea is to make this an easily searchable database for people who want to check what they found against a known list of WTFBins. So, OreoByte asked, how do you contribute? Glad you asked. Go ahead and click on contribute, and there is a GitHub issue template ready and waiting for you to go ahead and add a new WTF bin. I'll take a look at it, read up on the documentation. If it looks good, I will add it to the database very, very quickly. That's the deal. So today, to build out this list, we're going to go hunting for some WTF bins, and we're going to do it with our lab. We're finally going to get to use the home lab that we've been building for 5 weeks. Let's talk about how the lab is set up right now and what we can use to get the hunt started. So obviously I have the whole lab spun up here. We've got the router. I'm on the jump box right now. Ansible is up, although we may not need to use that today. We have a domain controller. We have a workstation up and running. And I could go make a new server, but I think the workstation is actually going to do for right now. For the stuff that we're going to need. The workstation is in fact, ZDWS01 is in fact joined to our domain. Let's take a look at it right here. Fire up some PowerShell here. And in fact, this is going to be fun. Okay, so who am I? Right? So plainly, I am joined to the domain, netuser/domain works. All right. We've got our users that we created last time using Ansible. So this thing is fully domain joined, and it's got Wazuh running, and it has sysmon installed, just so we can see that all of that is working as intended. So Wazuh is running, sysmon is installed. It should be collecting sysmon data, but let's go prove that that's true over in our SOC. So, or in our SIM, I should say. So we've got agents. Let's go take a look at the agents that we have. We'll close deploy new agent because I just did that. And we'll refresh our agents here. And hopefully I should see ZDWS01. Yeah. Looking good. Now, because it's in the Windows group, it is already configured to collect sysmon logs. Let's just show that to demonstrate how that works. Where is that? Management, groups. Close this. Windows. Edit group configuration. Yeah, right here. So the agent is configured to collect Microsoft Windows Sysmon operational. It's an event channel. It knows how to handle that. So we should, and we'll confirm it. We can, in fact, confirm it directly on the endpoint. If we go into C program files. Nope, my bad. C program files x86. OSSec agent. There's going to be an ossec.conf, which defines what is configured to get connected here. And I think it adds it to this, but I might be wrong about that. Yeah, I don't actually think it does add it here. I think it just is configured in real time on the agent to collect those logs. But that's okay. We can configure it, or sorry, we can confirm another way, which is we'll actually just look up the activity. Let's go to Wazuh here, and we'll go to security events. I should mention, during last stream, this is not really a home lab stream per se, but during the last stream, we set up Sysmon, and we tried to set up Zeek and a few other things. We weren't able to get the Sysmon alerts coming in the way that we wanted, and I fixed that. And let me show you how I fixed that. It's actually not that hard, but you have to know about it, just like all of the stuff that we're talking about here. So by the way, let me know if this text is too small. I can make it bigger. But so right now I'm on the server that Elk is running on, right? This sim that we were using over here. And I'm going to go to var ossec, and this is where the configuration for the actual Wazuh service is living. Both the server and, in the case of the machine where the server is, the agent. Both of them. Both of those live here. And if we go into Etsy, you'll see there's a bunch of stuff, but one of the things... Oops. I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go see Etsy inside of our ossec. Inside of that, you'll see there's another ossec.conf. And by the way, ossec, what is that? Basically, it's the older name for Wazuh, and that's why you'll see that sometimes in this documentation. If we vim ossec.conf, there's a bunch of stuff in here that we need to know about. First of all, this is where... Oh, I commented out. No wonder it wasn't working. Okay, I might have just solved 2 problems. Very exciting. So the first thing I want to say is there's a lot of config in here. It's all XML formatted, but one of them is the alert level. Right here, alerts. Log alert level. By default, this thing is set to 3. And that's a problem because all of the all of the Sysmon stuff by default is set to 1. So if you wanted to see all of the Sysmon events, really, what you have to do is you have to change this log alert level down to 1, and now all of a sudden all the alerts are going to show up here in the dashboard. The other way you would do that, and it's not the way that I recommend doing it. You know what? While we're here, systemctl stop Wazuh, because I just re-enabled the Zeek logs, and I really want to see if that works, because I tried to fix the Zeek logs, and I'm really hoping that took. By the way, if I say anything that doesn't make any sense, let me know. Can't help but notice that my Twitch stats say latest subscriber null, and that happens when there hasn't been a new subscriber for like a week. Just FYI. All right, so that started. Jahandro, thank you so much for the follow. Okay, so that started. I want to see Vim logs. A sec, not log. Security configuration. Analyzing file. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, Matt, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the gift sub to Killer. I'm sure they appreciate it too. That should update, yeah, in like 10 seconds. Plot twist, someone named Null actually had subscribed. That'd be wild. Now, I do wonder, because it has to be new subs, unfortunately. So, given that Killer has been a subscriber before, I wonder if that'll actually update. We'll see. It should have updated by now. It's every 10 seconds that thing pulls. But anyway, I can't help but notice that this thing is reading the Zeek logs. Now, I don't know that we're parsing them correctly, but we'll try to see it. Hey, you know what, Matt? I appreciate it anyway. I know that you were helping me out, so I appreciate that. Now, this should be straight up in Wazuh alerts. See if there's anything here that has Zeek in it. So the problem that we were having with the Zeek logs, and the Zeek logs are the packet capture logs that I really, really want coming in here, so I have the network information as well. It worked. It worked. Husky. Buddy. I got Wazuh to communicate Zeek logs. This is not log4j. This is just Elastic. Are they parsed? Yeah, they're parsed. Now, this is from the connection log only, because that was what I tested. But look. Yeah, con log. Okay, let me tell you. All right, we have to talk about how I did this, because there was a huge problem, and Wazuh said that they weren't going to fix it. We're not like they're not focusing on the problem. They know about the bug, and I was like, "Hey, do you have any plans to fix this in the near future?" And they said no. And so I fixed it. Not gonna lie, pretty proud of myself on this one, because I had no idea how I was gonna make this work. Okay, so here's how this works. Lasso, thank you so much for the resub. Look at that. Really appreciate that. Okay. Here's how this works. How did we get Wazuh to communicate Zeek logs? And by the way, why is this such a big deal? We want the Zeek logs coming into Elk. And what's amazing is that with Wazuh, rather than setting up a separate file beat for everything that we want to parse, Wazuh will collect all of the logs from a given source or a given client that we want with one agent. It really is like, now that we know how to do this, like, this is the way to do this as far as I'm concerned. Okay. ADH, kind of an OSSEC hits guy, never gotten to the new stuff. Get into the new stuff. Here it is, making it super easy. So take a look at what we had to do here. The problem, and actually I can kind of show you what the problem was here in the logs in Elk. If you look, oh yeah, It's incredible. So, okay, if you look at the full log, you see how it was set up here, where by default, Zeek has these fields like id.originh. It's that's IP6, which fine. Yeah. And response H. These are all IP6 things, but you can kind of see that these are parsed out by as ID dot. Okay. Here's the problem. When the Wazuh parser looks at this and says ID dot, it's like, okay, where's the ID object? And it didn't find it because there was no ID object inside of the log. And so all I did, this might mess with other stuff later, but all I did was rename the UID field to ID, giving Wazuh an ID field. Then it was like, oh, okay, I can parse this, fine. I'm not going to care about this or whatever. And now it's coming in. ID is getting parsed. It looks like it's a timestamp, but I honestly don't care. And that's it. Now, there were a couple of other ways we can do this, and I think I might actually want to change this. Instead of making it a UID, well, we'll see how it goes. But that definitely worked. And so how do you rename stuff in Zeek? It's actually kind of complicated. You have to use the Zeek extension, like the plugin architecture. But luckily, in the case of this, we didn't have to go too far afield for it. Here's where we went. So in opt Zeek, we're going to go to cd share, I think. Zeek. Is it in base? Nope. Gotta find this thing. Share Zeek policy tuning. Thank you. Okay, so in share Zeek, that was too many up arrows for that. I should have done that a better way. In policy and tuning, look at that. There's a JSON logs.zeek. This is how the JSON, by default, Zeek logs are tab separated, but you can enable the JSON formatter, and we've done so, and that's what you're going to need to get it into Wazuh anyway. Also, honestly, what you need to do to use it with FileBeat, you have to do it either way. But for this, let's take a look here. JSON logs, Zeek. Okay, the only thing that was in this file before was this. And then I happened to find on some forum post somebody that needed to rename a log field. And one of the Zeek developers gave them this kind of stub, which is we're creating an event for Zeek init. And what we're doing here is we're mapping a new name to a field. So log get filter con log. So if we wanted to do this for the other logs, the DNS logs, things like that, we would have to do that for all of the other ones, right? Because I think this problem is going to persist for the other log types. Nevertheless, look here. So we're seeing that we're doing a field name map, and we're just saying, okay, here's the table, and then sending it to ID. So we're renaming UID to ID. That's it. And then we add that filter. And that is how we rename stuff for Zeek. This was weeks of searching. It took me a long time. I eventually had to omit all of the Zeek logs from my search results because it wasn't in there. Now that I know, I've said before that learning is inductive more than deductive when you're starting, and this is a good example of it, because now that I know about field name map, I can go look for that in the Zeek documentation, learn more about it, and learn more about other similar features that I might be able to use to solve problems like this. But I had to find this first. Now that I have that, I can then broaden my scope. But yeah, so that's how we've done that. So pretty excited about that. Okay. Let's confirm that we have sysmon coming in from our workstation. To do that, we're going to go back over to the Wazuh section of our sim. And I really do like the Wazuh dashboards. You don't have to use them, but I really like them. I've also increased the RAM on this jump box, so it should be a little bit snappier than it has been. Right, let's go click on agents, and we can actually investigate a single agent if we wanted to. Right, we can go to security events just for this agent. We'll click on events to see it. Just the events. I don't care about the statistics. There you go. So obviously we're getting sysmon data coming in from our workstation. And it's all parsed. Look at that. Beautiful. Parent process ID, parent process GUID. We've got the image, we've got hashes. We've got the command line. Everything's looking good. So sysmon logs are coming in parsed. Zeek logs are coming in parsed. Friends, we have a SOC. We have a SIM that is that's getting data from endpoints. It's parsing them. We've got alerts automated already through Wazuh, and we can create our own custom alerts as we need them. All right. So now we got to hunt for some WTF bins. What we're trying to do, our objective today, is to trigger alerts in this dashboard that are false positives. That is our intent. That might seem a little bit strange, but our goal is to trigger events that are false positives so that we can know to filter them out, and that we can add them to WTF bins so that people who find these in their own environment will then be able to look at this database and say, oh, okay, it's a WTF bin. We don't need to worry about it. It's just being stupid. So, Husky had a great idea, which was Notion, and I definitely want to do that one. The first one, though, I really want to do is malwarebytes. And I know that malwarebytes is going to be crazy. I don't know how it's going to appear as a WTF bin, but I know that malwarebytes does some wild stuff when you're using it, especially on the counterpoint. Is it a WTF bin if it's actually malware? Well, that's a good point. Is malwarebytes malware? I would call it a pup, at least, a potentially unwanted program. But look, the truth is that people will download and use malwarebytes. You'll find it on BYO devices. You'll find it sometimes on enterprise systems that Shadow IT got their paws on. This is something that you need to be aware of. I like that Windows is giving me a surf alert. I wonder if it does that in other coastal cities or that's an LA special. Who are you trying to protect? I don't know why that question gets me. What's the difference? These are some like existential questions from Malwarebytes. Me or my family? Get away from my wife. Yes, we're definitely doing browser guard. This is going to be crazy. Install all the crap. By the way, in case somebody's worried, I definitely snapshotted this before we started installing this. I'm installing malwarebytes. I'm not protecting anyone. Yeah, that's the truth. But yeah, I definitely did a snapshot of the workstation before we got started here. Yep, clean Wazuh before we started installing junk on it, because I knew that we would want to roll that back. You want to look at the alleged keylogger API hooks from Malwarebytes closer at some point? I'll tell you what it definitely has is a click logger. Even right now, I'll bet you, it is sending, if I click on this, it is sending that event via JSON back to a Malwarebytes listener. I did some deep dive stuff on Malwarebytes a while ago, doing like proxying all the web traffic from it through Zap. And the other thing I found out is that Malwarebytes does a couple things where it doesn't use the Windows HTTP stack itself for some things, meaning that if you want to capture, like, meaning that if you set a proxy globally in Windows, right, the way that you normally do, even that doesn't actually proxy it. What you have to do to capture all of the traffic is you have to use NetSH to set up like a capture interface for the domains. It's totally wild, but yeah, it worked. I'm ready to scan my computer. Okay. Let's run a scan. Oh, is it not running? Yeah. Fire that thing up. Let's go. Now, I am running this connected to the internet because I want to know. Imagine a world without malware. We do. Okay, so Malwarebytes is just living in an imaginary world. Maybe later for the subscription. Get started. Wow, I hate this. I hate this so much. This is like really gross. Careful, you're not fully protected. One or more recommendations are available. Tell me what I should do. I'm trying to do this as though I were a user that is scared. Online privacy. Browser guard is not installed. Well, let's install it. Yeah, you need to buy our stuff to be more safe. Okay. Brute force protection is turned off. Okay, web protection is turned on. Okay. Interesting. I'll bet you... Oh, God. Edge. I really hate the first time launching. Hey, John. Yeah, me too. I mean, has anybody in chat heard the term dark pattern? That's kind of a design thing, but I wasn't sure if this group was familiar with the concept. Yeah, and malware stuff is, you know, a top offender when it comes to dark patterns. These are tricks used by designers to get you to do what they want you to do. Oh, they have a hall of shame? Let's go. Oh, yeah. The psychology behind Amazon's purchase experience. One of the craziest things I learned about what Amazon does is when you are in the top menu of the Amazon site, they triangulate your mouse position. It's not just that they track it, they triangulate it based on positions of categories to find out not just what you click on, but what you hover your mouse over and for how long, to see you know, what other recommendations might be good for you, even for the things that you don't click on, but that you almost click on and don't. All right. So it's a browser extension. I'm not dealing with browser extensions right now. So let's go ahead and run a scan. Now, let's go back over to our SOC here, and let's see what's going on. Well. Look at this. Lots of process creations. Registry events. Now keep in mind that we're looking at the raw here. If we go over to the dashboard, right, this is the stuff that Wazuh is configured to alert on. So let's see what we're seeing. God, I love this visualization. It's so good. Top 5 alerts, top 5 rule group. So we had a couple of things that scored 5. Let's take a look at those. So new Windows service created. Now, here's the thing, though. Our Windows service creations MBAE64.sys. Okay, so like our service is getting created by themselves a WTF behavior. I don't think this qualifies just yet because we're installing something. You would expect a new service to get created. Like, that makes sense. Sure. All right, let's refresh this and see if we got anything else here. Process creation, Microsoft Edge. This I want to see. MS Edge.ac, no startup window. Prefetch 5. Command line. Type utility sub unzip. Okay, here we go. What the hell is this? Subtype unzip mahjong.unzipper. Does anybody know what that is? If I'm thinking threat analyst, right? What do I think this looks like to me? This looks like somebody trying to use Edge as a payload delivery. Absolutely. So what the hell? Or WTF? You gotta love that the first thing that comes up is actually hybrid analysis. So in fact, it is used this way. I'd like to thank Malwarebytes for proving me right. I love being right. It's one of my favorite things in the world, and thank you very much. Incredible. Mahjong. What even is that, though? Yeah, look at this. Network service. Like, what? Okay, let me just look for just unzip mojam.unzipper. You gotta tell me what this is. Do you run the problem with someone actually using it? So that's the thing, Killer. I think the trick is that we don't, obviously this is used in malware, right? So it's not that we're going to put the Mojam unzipper on WTFBins. We're going to put malwarebytes on WTFBins, because if we, let's go back to the SOC to say, all right, so it's Edge, but the parent PID, yeah, it's the benign installer for malwarebytes that is innocent here, right? So if you walk it up, right, if we did one more level of PID walking, we would find that it was the malwarebytes installer that did this work. And that is the problem here, where it's obvious that the malwarebytes installer is using this unzipper legitimately, but it's definitely a tactic that the bad guys are going to use. So if I'm looking at this and I find this and I say, what is happening? Because especially when you're starting out as an analyst, like, you don't trust anything, nothing. And that's probably a good instinct that you shouldn't dull as much as does happen in your career. But like, I would have no reason to trust Malwarebytes hadn't been compromised in some way. And why is it doing this? Or let's even zoom out. Let's even zoom out. How do I know that it's legit Malwarebytes? You know, what if it was a Trojan, and in fact that something that somebody thought was Malwarebytes was in fact malicious software, and this is a behavior that we would see. And so if this is the thing that I'm using to think, oh man, I don't know about this, this looks pretty freaking weird, now we can go to WTFBins and say, oh no, insanely, the Malwarebytes installer actually does this even though it looks just like malware. Yeah, I think this is a good candidate. I'm going to start taking some notes on these. Let's get a new note going. Now, type utility, does that prevent it from opening as a window? Can I tell you how great it is to have, you know, the lab up and running and be able to do good work like this? I'm just so pleased. Actually, I should leave WTFBins open because we might go and use it. We contribute right from there. Now, I believe that this is a command line flags thing. Oh man, Husky, we found a great. Is this it? I think it is. This is the list of command line options. Yeah, this is it. This is all the stuff that Chromium has built into it that you don't know about. This may be service manager, service runner, or any other arbitrary value supported by the embedder. Utility. This switch indicates the type of utility process. Utility. No command. The contents of this flag are prepended to the utility process command line. Command prefix. Oh, snap. Prepended to the utility process command line. Did we just find like a really, really rich tactic here? Or technique? Okay, we're going to try. All right, let's see what happens when I do this. Is Edge running? I think I have to give it... I think I have to give it something to do. But now let's try... utility command prefix equals calc.exe and let's do utility startup dialog, see what that does. Nothing? Edge is definitely not running. Yeah. Edge is definitely not running. But let's learn more about that. Chromium utility. That's what malware people do. Play with obscure commands until it works. Multiple utility processes running under in-browser tasks. Nope. Oh my god. Oh, Harley, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Chromium browser, utility and browser, utility command prefix equals path to utility command prefix. The contents of this flag are prepended to the utility process command line. Useful values might be valgrind or xterm e gdb args. There's utility and browser. Let's try running it that way. So that worked. Utility, command, prefix. Infinite logins, are you going to break news on my stream? Uh-oh. Okay. So this is a legitimate detection. Okay, this is weird, right? I'm not Jonathan S. data-ing here. This is weird, right? There's no entry on Lulbass for this. So like, it's obviously in these sandbox things, like unzip mojam.zipper. Let's take a look at this again. Oh, good. There's a hatching triage. I prefer the triage reports. Ah, Theo, welcome. Welcome to Theo's streamer, Raiders. Good to see you all. Oh, God. Zipper. Hey, Theo, how was your stream? Fuel trial handle, service sandbox type. All right, let's actually, I don't know why I'm looking here. We have our own example of this. Type equals utility, utility subtype equals unzip.mojam.unzipper, service sandbox type equals utility, Mojo platform, handle, field trial handle. Now, I wonder, okay, I wonder if this is just like how Chrome works, or Edge works. So notice that the parent of this was MS Edge. So we're going to do image or parent image. We're going to do a search for that. And we're going to go raw here. Actually, we can do this a little bit better than that. We're going to go to events rather than the dashboard. And then we're going to do a little bit more of a filter, where we're going to do the image. Is image. Come on. Thank you. Maybe filter on process.name. Yeah. Let's do last hour. This should give us something. Sure did. File create too. We want process creations, though. Super, thank you so much for the follow. We want the command line. Good. And so a lot of unzippers. And we also want the parent, I think, right? We want to see the parent image. No startup window. Just kidding. We want the parent command line, not the parent image. Ah, dang it. I didn't want to filter out that value. I don't like some parts of the ELK interface. I know that I should have been over here to fix that. Somebody else, we are looking for WTF bins. WTF bins are binaries that are legitimate, but look malicious. And so create a whole bunch of noise for threat hunting. And I think we found one in malwarebytes. All right, we want to change this up. Yeah, we are. I mean, we're doing threat hunting, but like trying to miss in a way. We're looking for false positives. So this would be, you know, generally speaking, you know what this is? It's tuning. This is environmental tuning. And it's something that is a slog. But you got to do it. Otherwise, there's going to be too much noise for you to filter through. All right, so we want parent command line. No startup window. And I want to move this over. Okay. And I don't need the rule level in there. That's just taking up space. Get that out. And I don't really need the rule ID either, because I don't care about the rule ID. Okay, so what do we got? No startup window, prefetch. Now, prefetch is with a slash. Does anybody know what that's about? Prefetch 8. You gotta love it when a Spiceworks ticket or a Spiceworks forum post is the first thing that you're looking for. I don't have good luck with these. Look at this. Seems to prevent it from making the registry edit. Yeah, that doesn't help me. Prefetch. What does that mean? Oh, here we go. Arguments to use when launching. It has been observed that when file reads are consistent for the reprocess, when the same prefetch argument issuing reads and batch process launch, because reads depend on the process type, the prefetcher wouldn't be able to observe consistent reads, no prefetch. Browser has no... As such, all other Windows processes must have one in order to avoid polluting its profile. Arguments to... File reads are inconsistent for 3 process launches with the same prefetch argument. So this is a Windows thing. It's not a Chrome thing. We're learning. Slowly, painfully, but we're learning. The reason we're doing this is we want to find out what exactly this is doing. So that we can filter it out and explain exactly why it's okay. So it's just configuring what it's, how many prefetch files it can grab. Sounds like. Okay. Let's start a window. File creation. A lot of unzippers here. And then this is GPU preferences. Interesting. So now we're going to change this up a little bit. We want the parent PID 11240, right? So now we're going to PID walk that. And instead, we're going to look for anything that had that process ID. And look for its parent. Woof. That's the one I want. Is all right, let's see what that gives us. And then we'll probably walk that back to see the parent of that. Because what I want to know is file creations. But what was the parent ID? Oh, I'm looking at a file created. I'm not going to see a parent ID on a file created record. I need a event 11. Or event 1, rather. So the parent process ID. So now we're going to change that up to 7028. This is called... I don't know if this is what it's officially called, but I call this PID walking. Where we're walking up the parent IDs, the process IDs, to find out what was the descendant of what, and then we learn what happened where. Expensive EDRs will have nice fancy graphs for this. Yeah. All right. I think we got there. So we found mbam. It's a reverse of shell migration. Yeah, you're not wrong. Single argument, HTTP malwarebytes.com/browserguard. Single argument. What's that all about? So that's cool, right? And by the way, so I think these Mojang unzippers are launched as a part of just how Chrome works, or Edge. Like, these are services that Chrome is launching as part of itself. But where was that single argument? Runs the renderer and plugins in the same process as the browser. Interesting. Wasn't it single argument? Isn't that what we saw? Single argument. Whoa. We found a command line option that isn't listed here for Chromium. Undocumented. Introduction. Oh, it is in there. Look. Find information directly in the Chromium source code. Great, thank you. That's a reasonable thing for a human being to do. Kidding me? Wonder what other cool stuff is in here. Returns the command line string in the proper format for the Windows shell, ending single argument 1. Single argument switch prevents, here we go. The single argument switch prevents unexpected parsing of arguments from other software that cannot be trusted to escape double quotes when substituting into a placeholder. I mean, okay. What? Huh. So I wonder where the options are actually set. Basically like dash dash some Unix commands? I think so, yeah. I think you're right, Vivex. So, single argument, I don't know why you'd use it here. You're controlling the launch if you're mbam. But okay. So mbam. All right, so what we found is that, let's kind of summarize here. mbam.exe launches Edge. Edge has some weird... Actually, Edge and Chrome. Chromium. Yeah. So I think that this unzipper, as unsettling as it is, this is a legitimate part of what we were seeing. The other thing, though, that might be interesting, I mean, we found that the utility prepend, this wasn't something we found there, but we need to do a little bit more research on that utility prepend. Right? The render or command prefix. Or the utility. Wait a second. There's two of these? All right, let's see what this does. Can't wait to launch 1,000 calcs. That didn't work. I didn't get a calc that time. Oh, but I didn't put it in quotes. So, but if I do, so utility command prefix, that works just fine. And unfortunately launches 1,000 of them. I gotta figure out a way to stop that from happening. That's right, Gunner. Things that look like malware but aren't. Oh, thank you. Can right-click the taskbar icon to close all those windows. Thanks. This is where me not being a Windows person rears its ugly head. That is okay. Let's make a note though. This needs more research. Utility command prefix seems like something that we can use, because has anybody ever seen that before? Because look, let's say you launch Edge, right? But we can run random commands here. Now, if we can get it to run once, I'm too curious about this. I'm sorry, this is like not exactly WTF bin, but I'm too curious about this. So what I think is happening is that for every single utility, Oh, I think I got it. Okay, so when the browser launches, a bunch of different utility launches are happening as a sub process, right, of Chromium, and the utility command prefix is saying do this before you launch every single one of those utilities, right? If we only launch one utility, then we should be able to get one example of calc. So if we do this, browsing for cookies, thank you for the follow. Okay. We did utility and browser before. So let's try utility and browser. But this is still going to kick off all the calcs, right? Yeah. This kicks off all the calcs. Do I have to wait for all of them to open? Oh, I gotta close some of these. I wasn't able to click on it because it was changing up the window too fast. Oh, one of them stuck around. Oh, there's more. So, utility subtype. Okay, but what other utility subtypes are there? Hey, too much hassle? Yes, we actually reported that. Oh, wait, no, lapsus. My bad. So they did Samsung? That's crazy. So we're going to look for Chrome utility subtypes because I want to know what else is out there. Look at this. That's all they have, though. What do we have for utility subtypes? This switch indicates the type of utility process not used by Chrome, but is added as the command line for debugging and profiling purposes. Causes the utility process to play a dialog on launch. Utility browser. Causes utility sampling. What does utility sampling do? No. Oh dear. I didn't want that to happen. Wait. I launched that as utility. not utility in browser, but as utility. But it gave me utility startup dialog anyway. That also launched as a utility. And it's still fired off calc.exe. I wonder if we launch it headless. That might be horrible, because then I won't have anything to close. What if we do it single process? That's the last thing I'll test, and then we'll go back to looking for... I can't tell if that worked or not, or if I had extra calcs before. Interesting. That breaks stuff. This isn't to be confused with process per site, which is about process consolidation, not isolation. You probably want this one. Oh no. I don't know about you, but I feel like there's some stuff in here to explore. Since obviously there's a way to add command line stuff, you can imagine using Chrome as a pipeline to launch services. Are we leaving that for Red Team Tuesday? I think we might have to. For now, we definitely have, I think, a candidate WTF bin in that we have Edge Chromium have some weird behaviors. And it's not actually just about malwarebytes. We're really talking about anytime Edge is launched. It's going to launch these things with these bizarre utilities. And part of Chromium. That's actually, I think, a big deal. So what we've now learned is, yeah, I think there may be more to find in malwarebytes, because we have not been looking, we've only been looking at that stuff. Now we have to go back, kind of like unfilter all this and see what else. To clear all our fields here, because we got to see what's going on with malwarebytes in general. It ran the scan, right? It didn't find anything. But what does the scan do? You know? That's what we got to figure out. Wait. Okay. Now what I kind of want to do is do a filter for the parent parent image. Parent process. Process ID. Command line? Why am I only seeing command line, not parent command line? Parent process. Let's refresh this and see if we can get some new data. We should be seeing that stuff come in. By the way, does anyone have other bins that we should search for? Hey, Cyberduck. I think Chrome would make a great addition to WTFBins. Makes 3 or so weird DNS requests every time you open it up. Yeah, I mean, Chromium itself or Chrome itself is pretty weird in terms of the things that it does. I would agree with that. Parent command line. I want to see. Okay, we're gonna reload this page. But yeah, does anyone have any other recommendations for stuff we can test? I liked Husky's idea of testing Notion, especially because that elevate.exe is so weird. Teams. Oh, God. Oh, it's the worst. Not a bad idea, though. There we go. I don't know why it was being so weird. Parent image. Everything from Microsoft. So, okay, this is everything happening from mbamservice.exe. Oh, hey, cool. Congratulations, Husky. Norton 360 with a crypto mine. Process creation malware scanner. Okay. So, mbam service. This doesn't look particularly scary. Although I want... parent command line. And I want command line. Yeah. Get rid of the rule. I don't need this, and I don't need this. It's all ig.exe reseed. Okay. But this is the mbam service, right? That's the mbam installer. Okay. Whoa. Where's the PowerShell? Oh, actually, I hope this is me, and I want to see if it caught me doing stuff. What? Yep, there it is. Net user / domain. So it caught me running who am I. By the way, this right here, running who am I, should be an alert. I think it should be anyway. What if I did payload delivery within Windows telemetry? I don't know what you mean by that, and I don't know exactly how to do it. But it sounds interesting. Yeah, I think that any EDR worth their salt should be alerting on straight up who am I. Honestly. Does the set command list out all the environments to check what user you are? Create alert instead of using who am I? Well, I haven't set up alerts like that yet. So probably not. This is like the default set of like MITRE ATT&CK stuff. Although, let's actually see if the who am I did create an alert. Let's go to the dashboard and see if we got anything. Top 5 alerts, sysmon, event 1. Yep, there it is, net command. And process creation, who am I? So we actually did get those alerts. So the question you're asking, WarioByte, is, good job, Wazuh, for having these as actual alerts on here. So the question is, does getting list out all the environment, what is that, get environment or something? Get child item path env. I was going to do the PowerShell version. All right, let's see what that did. Let's refresh our dashboard here. That might have been a little quick. We might have to wait a minute or two for that to populate in. But if not, that's a good one to do. And we can do custom alerts. But I don't want to get us any more off track. Yeah, it looks like maybe not. That stuff should be in there by now. If we go over to events, because we still have our PowerShell. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Oh, no, because the PowerShell should still have caught the get child item. The other one might be in there, though. Yeah, may not have populated yet. take off that filter just in case. Yeah, we'll check back on it later. Let's install Notion. Let's see what Notion does. Process creation by the malware scanner is going to go crazy. I think what I should like to do is get rid of malwarebytes by reverting back to our. We're going to shut down the workstation and restore it to before we installed malwarebytes. No, the search is not on another machine. Oh yeah, Elastic is on its own server. The SecLab sock right here. We're gonna roll back to this and fire that up. Yeah, I mean, this is a fully functioning Windows domain plus a SIM. Oh, because it's still shutting down. Let's just power it off here. Okay. Now, let's roll back to clean Wazuh. It's kind of a misleading progress bar. Still waiting for that to finish. Okay, it finished. Wonderful. And it's on. Which means we should be able to reconnect to it. Wonderful. And we're back. Now let's install some Notion. Let's see. Has anybody submitted any GTF or WTF bins? No. Get out of here. Okay. Notion.so. What was .so supposed to be? Now, the Notion app is going to be an Electron app, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have other weird stuff going on. So, Oreobyte, the thing is that they're not documented very well, because if there were, I wouldn't have had to make the project. There are lots of things that regular applications do, as a matter of course, that aren't like, that looks super suspicious when you're threat hunting. We're also I want to look at this system another way, and we'll see if that might also be revealing. Maybe a little bit later though, because we're getting lots of good data from Sysmon right now. But the other tool that I use all the time for threat hunting or incident response is Mandiant Redline, where I run a collector on a system that gets event logs, URL browsing history, DNS stuff, all sorts of great data. And it allows me to take a look at a system kind of all in one place. Am I going to split WTFBins into good and bad traffic? The whole point is that it's all good traffic. I don't totally get what you mean. The whole point is that everything on WTFBins is benign, but it looks bad. Now, benign in the not malware sense, whether we want to get into a discussion about whether malwarebytes is in fact, good as a piece of software, that's a different discussion. Apps that are often found on computers. I think that's right. Oh man, maybe we should take a look at Acrobat as well. There's probably a lot of stuff that Acrobat does as a matter of course that looks suspicious. Anything from the Windows App Store? Maybe. Okay. Like Linux subsystem for Windows. It's actually the Windows subsystem for Linux. WSL, not LSW. And I do like that idea. WSL is interesting though because you're not going to be able to see a lot of what happens in WSL. Like even Sysmon won't see it. Once you're running in WSL, you're running in a virtual machine. So we might see network telemetry. That might be something that we see. But in terms of on the system, there's going to be very little that we have visibility on. That's why Mayor Joe was using WSL as a technique. Okay. I can't remember if I used my... Can't remember if I used my actual... I did. Okay. Do not track my crap. Edge. This might be an interesting one. Okay, so I'm logged in. Let's see what we see. Quite a bit. Oh, wow. A system event too. Those are pretty uncommon. That elevate bin is weird. It's from the Vista era and the resources door. And have we played with it at all? Or have you? So sysmon event 2 is interesting. A process changed a file creation time, which is actually a finding, or it can be. It can be used. This can alert you to time stopping. As you see, it's got a MITRE attack listing here. I don't think that's particularly weird, though. We're getting DNS queries. That's nice. I love that sysmon is giving me DNS queries. That's actually kind of awesome. And then network connections. Let me get the event ID up as a column here. Data, win event data. Where's event ID? Okay, that's driving me crazy. Data.win.system.eventID. Okay, let's add that. When they say a DNS query to Somalia may be suspicious depending on context. Yeah. That's fair enough. That's what the SO domain is. All right, so 22, those are the DNS. 3 are network connections. 2 is the time change. 5 is process terminated. And then process creation notion. There's a lot of process creations. So let's take a look at parent command line and command line for these. Some registry events too. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's doing registry events doesn't, you know, isn't weird. But we are going to filter for event ID 1 for the moment. We're going to just look at these to see the process creations and see what's up there. And then, yes, OreoByte, I haven't forgotten about the other commands getting logged. We'll take a look. Parent command line, and then we also want command line. All right, so that's weird. Okay, so one of the things you're going to notice with Notion is that many of the same... Let's move parent command line over here. I'm going to take rule ID off. I have a feeling that many of the same things that we saw actually from Edge with Malwarebytes are going to show up in Notion because it is, as I said, an Electron app. So it's using Chromium under the hood. And sure enough, there's your mojam.unzipper, right? We're seeing the same things. And this is good. We're learning how these sorts of processes open and what kind of things are going to get emitted by them. I think that's really, really helpful. Okay. Some more Edge. And this is happening because I had Edge open. Right? There it is. There it goes. And here's Notion doing its thing. Field trial handle. Enable features, web components, enable cookies without same site. Secure. So there's a whole lot going on here. Okay, so what you're seeing here, by the way, is Explore opening Notion.exe. This is... And then database, crashpad URL, Notion.so. That's interesting. I wonder if we can... Can you open Notion.exe with a different URL? Let's find out. What was that? App data local programs. Okay. Yeah, it was in users. See, users. Come on. App data, local, Notion. Nope. Is it just programs? Program. I have no idea what just happened. Programs, Notion.exe, Notion.exe, URL. So that didn't really work, but I had it open already. Doesn't appear like that works, which is unfortunate, but that's fine. Now, before we go and check out elevate.exe, which, by the way, have we seen it in use? We should probably check to see if it's in use at all. Seriously? Data.win.data.command line. Elevate.exe. And let's look in the last hour, see if that does any better. Nope. Nope. All right, let's go back over to our dashboard though. See if we have anything that anything else that got alerted on. $829. Let's exclude the level 1s because they're not helpful. So we'll take those out. And let's see if we see anything else. 52. That's still big, but it's parsable. Excuse me. So we have service startup type was changed. Good look at the JSON here. Let's see what happened. Ah, bits was changed from auto start to demand start. This is, yeah. Not super helpful. And this is back a bit. Is smss.exe a suspicious process? In what way is SMSS a suspicious process? SMSS.exe is a core part of Windows. It's not suspicious. It's the session manager subsystem. I don't know why that was an alert. Other than the fact that it happened. It's like anything that involves SMSS gets an alert. As the session manager, it can contain some information, much like LSASS, that can be sensitive. But you would want to see like a create remote thread or something like that. Let's take out the 3s and just see the 5s and the 12s. A lot of SMSS. And then our 12s, yeah, so the 12s are the suspicious process. It's kind of interesting. Process injection. So let's see what the rule looks like. And this is where the tuning of the sock really comes into play here. Yep. So this is a stupid, naive rule. It says if the pattern is just smss.exe for pattern 1, for event 1. That is a dumb rule. We can view it in rules. and we can change it. This is what tuning is all about. Von Trier, thank you so much for the follow. Were you going to take me to the rules section or not? Seriously? All right, that's not a cool UI experience where I can't actually get to the rules. I mean, we can get to them another way. I just wanted that nice link to work. We go to management and rules. Here they are. Yeah. So if we want to look for that rule, it's rule 61632. So we should be able to search 61632 and find the thing. There it is. And it's in 059. These are the default sysmon rules. And here's the rule itself. So if it's an event 1 and it's an smss.exe, so whenever it starts up. So this is going to happen, SMSS happens when the computer boots. So anytime the computer boots, it's going to fire off this level 12. Now, if the concern is process injection, what might be a better detection for this? Yeah, I would agree. So if we think about what we have for sysmon logs, right? Sysmon event types. Obviously we have, let's say 8. Yep. So there's an event for create remote thread. And in fact, when Mimikatz goes after LSASS, you're going to see a create remote thread from Mimikatz to LSASS, right? And so alerting on this is a great way to catch that because you're concerned about process injection, right? Not that a process was created, but that a process was accessed. So there are a few other, sorry, actually event ID 10, but you have to learn how to be careful with this if you turn this on, because this is going to be super noisy. Oh, my bad. I should have said this is what I meant, not create remote thread. This is process access. This is what Mimikatz is doing. This enables detection of hacking tools that read the memory contents of processes like LSASS. So if we enabled event ID 10, which we don't have enabled, I think by default, enabling it can generate significant amounts of logging if there are diagnostic utilities active that repeatedly open process to query their state. So should generally only be done with filters that remove expected accesses. So this is kind of how you would do it, and that might be something to think about. Okay, let's go check out that elevate.exe. Actually, we want app data local, programs. What else you got for me? Resources. There's elevate.exe. Wow. Wild. Okay, so thank you. Let's run it and see what happens. Elevate.exe, the program to execute. Okay. Did I just spawn calc as an admin? And you can spawn command in a... You do the same by typing command in the path field. But some things won't run. Yeah? Okay, that can't hit. That's fine. What's my jump box IP address right now? Command.exe doesn't exec? What is my jump box IP address? 102. Okay. Ping 10.1.99.102. Cool. Okay. PowerShell. .exe. C. Ping 10.1.99.102. Let's try that another way. Invoke web request, URI. Actually, I can just do curl, right? Curl 10.1.99.102. Nope, that didn't work at all. Wait, yes it... Wait, is that WS man? No. So that actually did work. Let's confirm it. Make sure that wasn't a weird WS man thing. I'm getting it from PowerShell. Hold on. Let's do it this way. Walkin78. What OS am I using? What is a jump box? Yes. So for those of you who are very new to the stream, first of all, you're very welcome. And I'm using KDE Neon, which is a Linux distribution. It's Ubuntu under the hood, and it is the Plasma desktop on top as my desktop environment. What is a jump box? So I am currently remoted into this system from my lab. My lab is a big old like enterprise server that I have running in my house. And it has these virtual machines that are running on it. Proxmox is the hypervisor. And, well, it's the manager for the hypervisor. But anyway, so I've got all these machines running, including the jump box. I'm remoted into it, and I'm using it to actually remote further into the Windows machines that are in the virtual environment and a few others. So what we're doing is we're looking for what are called WTF bins, which is a term that, well, frankly, I invented. And they are benign applications that look malicious. And the reason we want to look for them is because they make a lot of noise when we're doing incident response and threat hunting in cybersecurity. And we want to minimize the noise and create a database of these kinds of applications so that when you see something that looks suspicious, you can look it up and see whether or not it is something that is just annoying but not dangerous. But what we just found is that there's this tool that comes with a program called Notion, which if you look at our back catalog, which you can do by going to YouTube, we've been playing a lot with, and we even made some malware using. But it turns out Husky. Hold on. What is the, was it get user? I always forget what it is. Okay, let's try to do it this way. We'll run it in a specific context. Let me sure I'm getting that syntax right. Equals. Name. Yeah, definitely. I'm wondering if it's that whole situation that didn't work. Hang on. Let's try it this way. Let's make sure that we have the syntax right for this. Yeah. I think it's a quote thing. I think we're there. Because that won't work, right? That'll just give us who am I. Oh. Dang it. 8888. Yeah, that just gave us that. So if we put it in double quotes, should it do command expansion? No. Let's go back. I think I might have had it with the quotes. Ah, dang it. There it is. Okay, so now here's the real question. Because nope, that doesn't work. Hang on. Find stir mandatory. It's not a select because it's not actually. It looks like it's a PowerShell output, but it isn't. It would be. Yeah, mandatory group. So I'm in an administrative context right now. I need to get into a not administrative context. Can I do that? Can I just run here? I'm still high. So you know what we need to do. We need to make a user and install Notion as that user. Because obviously Elevate has some pretty upsetting capabilities, right? Well, let's find out something. Let's see. Can we smells like a UIC bypass. So I know this is kind of getting red teamy, but this is interesting. Can we do what if we do like That's not a place. Try administrator. Can I pipe with that? Who am I? /groups write file. Because I can... Nope. Just want to do... Yeah, that works. That's pretty much right. Okay, so that does write that out. So my /group C is just administrator desktop context.txt. Probably should have deleted that first. Let's see if that recreates. It doesn't. So that's kind of weird. Nope, no version there. Okay, so elevate.exe, I mean, does Notion use it for anything? It's in the installer, right? Because there's like app resources. Config.js, it's interesting. There's the icon, cute. App update.yaml. Let's look at this YAML file. URL, desktop release, notionstatic.com, Notion updater. Probably should be added to the lolbas. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's the thing. We keep finding actual living off the land binaries. We keep finding more stuff to use offensively than stuff that we need to tune out from defenses. Kind of funny. Lolbas needs to be Windows signed. Right, because it's not always going to be there. That's fair enough. Yep. Signed legitimately by Notion, but okay. On the Windows Store. I wonder. There's one other app that I want to check out today. I wonder. Seriously? Windows Terminal. What's happening here? Did they take Windows Terminal off the... But why? Okay, but I have a feeling that this thing is interesting. So we're going to take a look at this. No, thank you. I own this app. Great. And it's downloading. Now, I use Windows Terminal all the time, but I would like to see what happens when we launch it and what kind of things we can do with it. By the way, as of the most recent release, I think it can open terminals as administrator. So that's going to be interesting. I want to see how that happens. But normal stuff we're looking for, right? Benign operations. Azure Cloud Shell. It's PowerShell. I'm already in a high context. It's so crazy. All right, I want to disconnect here, and I want to log in as an administrative user, but somebody who isn't like admin, you know what I mean? Because I want to see what this looks like from the... Okay. Now, I don't know if Terminal is installed for everybody here. It is not. I have to go install Windows Terminal as this user. Actually, I want to see if a regular PowerShell for this user also launches as a elevated, because it should not. Yeah, there we go. So now we're in a medium mandatory level. I want to know, we can go play with Notion, because Notion is installed for everybody, right? No, we'll go install Notion too. That might be a better Tuesday thing. Let's all right, so let's go install Windows Terminal. I don't know why. Totally insane. Okay, what corporate zombie in the design team for Edge thought, you know what is going to make everyone love our browser? If there are full screen unescapable pop-ups when you start the browser that require you to enter information. People love that. apologies if you can hear stuff out like in the background. That's the Santa Ana winds messing with stuff outside. At Mode Edge. Well, we know that works. Get open. Let's go. I will say that it is nice that default Windows installs have a Chromium browser. You know, it used to be such a pain. What was that? Was that the Rick and Morty meme with Internet Explorer? Like, what is my purpose? You install Chrome. No. Look, the marketing department has a job to do. That's fine. But so there's something that can happen in different, you know, organizational cultures where it can be a beautiful exchange of ideas, an open marketplace. But sometimes what happens in those cultures is that there's no such thing as a bad idea. And no one has learned to stop talking and sit down. You know, I remember one place I was working at, there was somebody who was big into yes and, which I know, you know, Husky and I talk about from an improv standpoint. That's good. It's not always good. Like, there are bad ideas. They exist. And if you don't have a place, if you have a place that's so positive that there's no way to say something critical, it's extraordinarily dangerous. Have I tested free VPN clients or free VPN trials? No, I mean, I'm just getting started with this, so the list is long, and I encourage everybody to test stuff that they're interested in to see what might be out there. All right, so terminal is open, and I swear there's a way to do this, but okay. So this is opening, and let's take a look at what opening the Windows terminal looks like on the endpoint. Go ahead, we'll refresh this. We'll reload the data here. Take your time. Ooh. Am I gonna have to do my favorite thing? Looks like it. Yeah. Later. After our product went into full production overseas, they decided to add a metal plate with some company graphics. They didn't think to check it would short out the electronics on the circuit board. Wow. That's special. One thing that's really interesting with some marketing departments is when they set up websites and domains that don't necessarily go through IT. That's always interesting. And then all of a sudden you'll get alerts through your threat intelligence for like, oh, hey, you've got a new domain that looks like your organization. and you won't know that you actually set it up. Let's only look at our workstation here. How we doing? Yeah, there's good old Edge. It was at 41. Let's go look at the raw events. It's going to be a little bit more helpful for us, I suspect. Okay. So, a lot of creation of Microsoft Edge. But what's interesting, I mean, is Edge still open? Yeah, it's still open. So we'll close those down. I think we're gonna exclude Edge for the moment, because we know that Edge does stuff. So let's exclude this value. So now what do we have? We're still loading. What? So I'm calling it. That's a WTF bin. So Windows Terminal was our parent here. The Windows Terminal looks for WSL even when WSL is not installed. Nope. Every time. No, I clicked the right button that time. Yeah. I'm going to get rid of the rule. The level. So let's put that down in our list. So Windows Terminal runs WSL list even and WSL has no installs. What else does it do? PowerShell.exe, and this is presumably, that's right, the parent image here. So the Windows Terminal I think is doing some fun stuff. We're going to look for the parent command line as well. There's that no startup window. Is that how we do it? If we do no startup window, I'm going to get Task Manager open to kill Edge once I need to. Wait, how do I still have calculators running? Wait, that did it. I mean, it launched 2 of them, but because no startup window means that you're not running the renderer and all those other utilities. I have to try this. I'm sorry. I know I can't help it. I'm a purple teamer, so I'm thinking in both defense and offense at the same time. I have to try this. This is too cool. So we're gonna set up that listener again. Oh, it's still running. Cool. Nope. Oh. Unexpected. What was the problem there? Maybe I don't even need that. Okay. So that worked. I don't know why it was so weird before. But utility command prefix equals PowerShell exe c speed equals / 10.1.99.102 8888 sequence. No startup window. Oh no. I'm at 100. No, I'm not. I'm at 102. I was right the first time. That's not stopping PowerShell from starting up. But I'm not hitting. Turn down 92. Okay, so I am hitting it from there. Oh, I think that might have been it. First loss. I bet. I wonder if it works now. The response cannot be parsed because the Internet Explorer engine is not available or Internet Explorer's first launch configuration is not complete. If I open Internet Explorer, no kidding, if I open Internet Explorer, I won't get that error anymore. And I think that might be the issue. Notice that if I hit curl now, it still did it. Weird. Use basic parsing. Well, we'll use basic parsing here. That's not... Still not getting my secret, unfortunately. That's okay. So we were taking a look at what Windows Terminal does. And let's see if there's anything else suspicious here that it might do. I want event ID or the event description on here as well. DNS queries might be interesting to see. Media services, windows.net. Interesting. Where's my event ID? There it is. Add that. OneDrive, of course. So again, what are we looking at here? We're looking at the command line and then the parent command line. So what we want to see is kind of anything that happens from Windows Terminal in particular. So we can actually, let's filter for just Windows Terminal as the parent here, just to see what's up. Come on. You can do it. I'm going to close some things so you have more memory to work with. There we go. We timed out basically. Okay, so Windows Terminal launches PowerShell, unsurprising. Headless, Open Console. So these are some things that Windows Terminal can do. In fact, one wonders what all things it can do. To get rid of these double backslashes. See if there are any documented command line flags. Why does this happen to me? There's something I don't understand about how commands are parsed on PowerShell. This happens to me all the time. Nope, Windows apps. Terminal app, but not terminal.exe. Oh no, so Windows terminal.exe. Oh. Nope, that just does that. Weird. Okay. So it runs it with headless Win32 input, resize, server, and it runs WSL list. And interestingly, that was one of the first things that it did. And then it ran PowerShell to launch that tab. All right, I think we're going to call it there. So I think WSL list, because if I see somebody doing that, it's almost like a who am I at this point. If I see somebody looking for WSL, I'm curious of what's going on. So we'll put that in there. We'll find the not just malwarebytes, but chromium browser stuff, which we found via malwarebytes, but it was a good find. All right, so that's 2. This stuff takes a while. It does. I mean, that's the thing about Blue Team. It's time intensive. I mean, Red Team can be too, certainly, but all of this is just like rough. If you run neofetch with Windows Terminal, it will call one of your shells bash, which is probably why it's doing WSL list to see what the shell is. Technique, I actually think it's Furkout, I thank you for the follow. I actually think it's even simpler than that. What I think is happening is when WSL opens, or sorry, when the terminal opens, it has to load all possible profiles. And the way that it loads profiles, like up here, is it has to see if there's WSL stuff installed. And if it's there, it loads these as potential profiles for you to access. So if I did install Ubuntu on here, for example, this would all of a sudden start showing Ubuntu as a potential profile for me to use. The only way that it can do that, I think, is to run WSL list. But okay, I think that's going to do it for today. Let's see if there's anybody else streaming that we can raid. Nobody that I know is in English, so I think I'm going to have to send you all on your merry way. But have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back, of course, on Tuesday doing red team stuff. But until next time, friends, please be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and happy hacking. We'll see you next time.